So the next question is a term popular in urban renewal, and it refers to a rundown area, somewhere where things are just yucky, just not well maintained. We need to fix these things up. We need to bring it back to its former glory, right? Is it avulsion? Is it blighted area? Is it regression, or is it obsolescence? Yeah, this is a blighted area. We think of blight. We think of just abandoned houses, boarded up windows. People just don't care about the neighborhood. They're not taking care of the properties. It's kind of just, that's a blighted area. Now, they could come in and rejuvenate the area and bring it back to speed and bring it back up to where houses are selling for good money again. But right now we're in the process of fixing it. It's not where it needs to be yet. Now, I know it's not the answer to this question, but let's talk about the term regression that's on the screen. What do you guys think about regression? Let's think of an example where regression would be happening. So I think when I think of regression, I think of regrets, right? I regret what's going on there, right? So if I have this super duper overimproved, I'm thinking of, there's a house in my neighborhood where the people just like, they went hog wild. They made this house so fabulous. It is so nice. It's beautiful. But the other houses around us in my neighborhood are just kind of average. And I've got this crazy, crazy overdone house in my neighborhood. That's going to not hold its value as well as if it had been surrounded by other super fabulous homes like that, right? So those people are regretting their decision. There's regression going on. Their value is being brought down by the fact that they're in a neighborhood of homes that are dissimilar. They're not quite as nice, right? Age of a structure as estimated by its condition, not its true age, but the age of a structure as estimated by its condition. Is that the economic age? Is that the actual age? Is that the useful age? Or is that the effective age? What do you guys think? People are kind of on the board, like they're going back and forth. So that's our effective age. It's effectively the age of my property. So let me give you an example. Let's say, yeah, you get this one confused sometimes, Bella. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it can be kind of confusing. So think of it like this. It's effectively the age of the property. If I have a 100-year-old building, but it is extremely well maintained, its effective age may be 50 years old because I've taken really good care of it. I've updated, I've done everything I need to do to keep this really looking and feeling like a newer structure. That's the effective age. Its true age is 100 years old, but its effective age for appraisal purposes is 50 years old because that's what it feels and looks like. That's what it's maintained like. So a sale and subsequent lease from a buyer back to the seller, although the lease actually follows the sale, both are agreed to as part of the same transaction. This is the same transaction, you guys. Is it lease purchase back, lease option, listing option, or sale lease back? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? What's everybody think on this? Yes, the sale and lease back. Why would I do it? So let me give you a great example of why I would do it in real life. Let's say that I own a big paper factory and my office building for the paper factory is paid off. This building's paid off, but that equity is trapped in there and I need that money to expand my business. Maybe I want to open another factory on the other side of town. How will I get access to it? Well, I might sell the property and then lease it back from the buyer. So I get to stay in my location, but I free up that money that was tied up because now I'm a tenant. I get to write off my rent on my taxes, right? And I also get the equity that was trapped inside of that property that I was using as an office building. It wasn't helping me grow. It was something I needed, but it wasn't helping me grow. That's an example of a sale leaseback and how in real life we might use it. All right. Now, here is the kicker on this one. This is a court order. So the courts are ordering me to do this, a court order to stop certain actions by certain individuals. Is it A, writ of execution, B, injunction, C, codicil, or D, lis pendens? What do you guys think? Writ of execution, injunction, codicil, or lis pendens? Yeah, this is an injunction. Only a judge can issue an injunction to stop me from doing something, to keep me from doing something. Let me give you a real life example. My dad lives in this neighborhood. Now, you guys have probably heard me tell this story before, for those of you who've been around for a while, but the neighborhood CC&Rs, and it's an old neighborhood, by the way, you guys, not a new one with an HOA or anything. The neighborhood CC&R said in the deeds that they did not want anybody to have a fence. That was the rule. I don't know. The developer just didn't like fences, wanted all the neighborhood to be open and kids run from one neighborhood to the next. I don't know. But here's the thing. somebody decided that they were going to put up a fence. So what could the neighbors do at that point? They could go to court and see if they could get the judge to make them stop. That's an injunction, right? A good example of an injunction. What about a codicil? What does a codicil mean? A change to my will. Change to my will. Shanika is my sister in my will, right? And I say, oh, Shanika, I'm going to leave you my house. And then one day we get in a terrible fight. And I'm like, you know what? I'm changing my will. I'm going to do a codicil. I'm going to change it and I'm going to take you out of my will, right? That's a codicil. It's a silly example, but it's what it means, right? All right. So the next question is a notice that a property is due to be taken to court, which may affect the title depending on the results of the court case. We see this a lot of times in foreclosure, right? Is that an injunction, a codicil again, a writ of execution, or lis pendens? What do you guys think? Yeah, lis pendens, right? There's a lawsuit pending. Literally, that's what it means. There's a lawsuit pending. So it's letting people know that there is a lawsuit pending on the property, that there could be a problem with this title. Like, be aware that there could be a problem here. There's a problem going on, and we want to talk about that. So somebody asked me if I could go through the fee simple estates real quickly. So going to the fee simple, and I think it was Doris that asked me that, if I sold my property that I own fee simple absolute to Carolyn, would I be able to come back and take that property from Carolyn at a later time? If I own it fee simple or she owns it fee simple absolute? No, I'm out of here. I've given it to Carolyn. That's it. But what if I owned it fee simple defeasible? Carolyn's ownership of that property could be defeated. What would be an example of what I might put on to Carolyn that I could defeat her ownership? How could I defeat Carolyn's ownership on fee simple defeasible? What would be an example of something I would put on her as a restriction, a condition? Yeah, not selling alcohol on Sunday, right? We use that example a lot. Or what if I say, you're never allowed to cut down the timber in these 50 acres. And if you do, I can take it back from you. That's fee simple defeasible. Carolyn decides she doesn't like the trees being there and she starts to cut them all down. I can come back and try to snatch that property from her. Her ownership could be defeated. So I wanted to talk about that's the fee simple versus fee simple absolute versus fee simple defeasible. Those are two that it gets confusing a lot, right? Exactly. A comprehensive plan to allow a city to grow in an orderly and sound manner. I'm trying to plan my city out. I'm trying to make sure that it keeps growing in a way that makes sense. Is that an all-inclusive plan, a master plan, an eminent domain, or is that zoning? Yeah, you guys got this one. You guys are getting all these tonight. You guys are on a roll tonight. So that's the master plan. I'm planning out my city in advance. I'm not just throwing a city out there and be like, oh, I'm going to make a city over here, whatever. Right? The master plan is where I'm saying, okay, here is where I'm going to put my commercial. And over here, I'm going to put my light industry. And here I'm going to put my warehouses. So I'm making it so that everybody can join together and live in this community in a way that makes sense for everybody. A legal term for personal property. Which one is a legal term for personal property? Is it chattel? Is it fixture? Is it immovable, or is it amenity? What do you guys think? Chattel. Yeah. Let's talk about another term that is on this page that is not the answer to your question, and that is amenity. What would be an example? Let's say that I have an apartment building and I say, this has lots of great amenities. What could be some examples of amenities that might be at this apartment building that I'm trying to sell? A gym, a pool. And it doesn't even have to be in the property itself. It could be that it's close to the bus stop, right? That's a great amenity. Or it's close to a popular school. That could be something, right? So it could be an amenity that's within the property boundaries, or it could be amenity outside of the property boundaries. Either way, yeah, close to the train station, Donna. Good. Stores. Yeah, Shanika said it. Yeah, trash pickup. Saritha, yeah. And I'll tell you what, if you've ever lived in a place without a dishwasher, which I have many times, Sarithia made a good point. A dishwasher is a huge amenity in an apartment. A lot of times we don't get the dishwasher. We got to do all that by hand, and that stinks. A dog park. Now dog parks are becoming more popular. You know, up to a few years ago, we were like a dog park, but now it's like the dog park is, dogs have more parks than people these days. And it's kind of cool. I love it, right? So let's do the next one, a contract to find a buyer. A contract to find a buyer. Is it a purchase agreement? Is it a mortgage? Is it a listing? Or is it a deed? What do you guys think? What is the contract to find a buyer? Yes, absolutely. It's between the broker and the seller, and it's called a listing. So let's talk about different types of listing contracts we might run into. All right. Tell me in the chat here, what are some different types of listing contracts that they might spring on you on the test? What do you think of when you're taking open listing? Dre said open listing. That's a good one. Exclusive listing, Jane. Yeah. Net listing. Yeah. Exclusive right to sell. Exclusive agency. People get exclusive right to sell and exclusive agency mixed up all the time. Let's talk about those two. If I were to sit down with Donna and say, Donna, listen, you're a seller. I'm a broker. I am the perfect broker for you. Let me have you sign this exclusive right to sell listing contract with me and give me 90 days to sell your house for $500,000. And Donna's like, sure, let's go for it, Maria. During that 90-day listing period, if I sell the property, or even if Donna sells it herself to her brother, doesn't matter. If that property sells during that listing period, I'm going to get paid. But remember, on exclusive agency, the same thing is true, except for there's a loophole. What is the loophole on exclusive agency between me and Donna here? I'm the broker, Donna's the seller. If Donna, the seller, finds her own buyer and sells it without the help from any agent, she does not have to pay on exclusive agency. She would have had to on exclusive right to sell, but she doesn't have to on exclusive agency. Now, let me ask you guys something. What about a net listing? How we know what a net listing is, right? That's where I say, hey, listen, I want to walk away with $300,000 net on the sale of my property. And you keep whatever you want as commission above that. Okay, whatever you sell it for, you get the difference, right? If you sell it for 400, you keep 100,000. Some states it's illegal, Donna. Not all states is illegal. Like in California, it's legal, but it's always discouraged. And why? And some people say, when I ask this question, they'll say, well, the reason why it's discouraged is because the broker may not get paid. Let me just tell you, for those of you who aren't brokers or agents yet, nobody's worried about that, right? The government is not making their laws to protect the broker's commission, right? They're not making their rules to discourage people from doing things because they don't want the broker not to get paid. They're just like, okay, you're on your own there, Mr. Broker. That's your business. You take care of it. But what could go wrong on a net listing, you guys? What could go wrong? And Doris kind of said it. It's not always fair. It's our fiduciary duty to be honest with the seller about the value of their property. And if I truly told you, the average person, I should say, if I truly told you that your house is worth 400,000 and you're like, oh, you know what, the heck with it. Just as long as I get 300,000, you can keep the 100,000. That's probably not going to happen very often. So the idea is that maybe we did something a little unethical, or a little shady to get that net listing sign, right? And that's why we discourage those. Liens that only affect a specific parcel of the owner's property. Liens that only affect a specific parcel of the owner's property. Is it income tax, specific liens, judgment liens, or general liens? What do you guys think? Yeah, specific liens. It's only going to affect a specific piece of property. It only attaches to a specific piece of property. What are some examples in real life of specific liens? I'll start you guys off. Property tax lien, specific to one property, right? What's another one? A mortgage lien is a specific lien. Whatever property I borrowed the money against, that specific lien would be attached to that property. A judgment lien is general. So that's what I'm glad you said that. So then a judgment lien could go on a bunch of different properties that I own, right? So that's a general lien. A mechanics lien is specific. It is specific to that property that I did the work on. So if I did a roof on your house and you didn't pay me, I could put a mechanics lien on that house. I couldn't put a mechanics lien on your rental property on the other side of town that I had nothing to do with, but on that house that I did the work on, for sure. Now, give me an example real quick then of a general lien. So we've already talked about, we said a judgment lien is a general lien. What's another good example? Oh, yes. Federal income tax lien. If I owe the IRS, you better bet they're going to try to get their money wherever they can, right? They're going to attach to multiple pieces of assets that I own to try to get the money from me. That's another example of a general lien. All right, let's find another one. How about this one? This serves as evidence of a debt. Is it title? Is it deeds? Is it promissory notes? Or is it mortgages? Title, deeds, promissory notes, or mortgages? What serves as evidence of the debt? This one's a little tricky, right? So the evidence of the debt is the promissory note. It's my promise that I signed of what I'm going to pay, how I'm going to repay the loan, how long I'm got to do it, all those things. Exactly, Marty. And I owe you. And I owe you. So all of those things promissory notes cover. They're going to talk about how I'm going to repay this debt. Now, in states that do mortgages, we would have them sign a promissory note and we would sign a separate document called a mortgage. When that mortgage gets recorded at the courthouse, what does it create? If I take the mortgage document and record at the courthouse, what's created? Anybody know this one? What's the bank creating there? Trying to protect their investment? Yeah, we're creating the lien, which in turn is recorded there to give the world constructive notice that this mortgage exists and that there is a lien. So constructive notice isn't wrong. It's just that's the notice that's created. But the one thing that the mortgage being recorded, that's how they make the lien. And the lien keeps me from running off and not repaying the loan, right? I've got the deed in my hand. What keeps me from not repaying the loan, running off and just selling the house, taking the money and not repaying it? Because any sensible person is going to look to see if I have a lien on the property before they buy it from me, and they're going to expect me to pay these liens off. They don't want to get stuck with the liens, right? Because the liens would get stuck to the property. The legal right one has to possess land. Is it estoppel? Is it eminent domain? Is it deed or is it title? Remember, this is my right, not the paper that proves it. My right. Oh, good. I didn't trick too many people here. So yeah, the title is my rights, my understanding of my rights. I have the right to own this, the legal rights that come with property ownership. If I said to you, Laura and Inez have title to a property at 123 Main Street, I would like to see proof of that. What paper will Laura and Inez show me? What's the paper going to show me? Yes, the deed. The deed, right? They're going to show me the deed. And what if the government decides that your property is in the way of progress? It's also on the screen here, not the answer to this question. And they need to tear it down and build a highway exit. Which one is that? Yeah, eminent domain. They got to pay me fair market value, but eminent domain is the government taking the land for public good. They got to be using it for something that benefits the public, like that highway exit. Okay, you guys are on a roll. Oh, estoppel. Somebody asked about estoppel. So that's where I can't backpedal and say, oh, I know I keep telling you this and you relied on it, but this is what I really meant. So I'm not responsible for the fact that you relied on my misinformation. Estoppel, that's kind of what that means there.